Trump signs executive order enabling him to fire Dr. Fauci. Remember the Woodward phone call? Trump has always known. Most selfish asshole ever. Fauci has 2/3 approval of the American people, according to recent polling. This just continues the streak of Trump effectively trying to lose. I honestly don't know what the fuck GOP are thinking. The Saturday night massacre was nothing compared to this administration. I can only hope we continue to turn out in droves to stop this shit from spreading. They're gleefully dismantling the country. If he fires Fauci, Biden should hire him the next day to head up his coronavirus team. This should help Biden, and drive Trump nuts. I knew it. Trump is going to clean house the moment he loses the election. He's literally going to empty admin agencies and have no government for the next couple months. Imagine thinking that in the midst of a pandemic, while cases are rocketing up to a third wave, and you're down in the polling nationwide already. That the right move politically is to fire the nationally trusted and respected pandemic expert. If that isn't a testament to the fuck up that is this administration, I don't know what is. Goddamn, I am so sick of this shit. What the fuck has happened to this country? Rhetorical question. Christ, if he does fire Fauci, he's then free to speak as often and as loudly about whatever his heart desires. Does Trump really want that shitstorm? It's as if he wants to lose in a landslide. From https://www.usa.gov/how laws are made. Congress may try to overturn an executive order by passing a bill that blocks it. But the president can veto that bill. Congress would then need to override that veto to pass the bill. Also, the Supreme Court can declare an executive order unconstitutional. So expect some serious ping-pong with this one. Trump has no shame, no compunction in putting a smear on one of the world's most respected epidemiologists. All because the maximum snowflake, or McDonald Trump as Bharat calls him, feels threatened. President Biden will hire Fauci back in a heartbeat. Makes sense. Trump thinks positive cases are surging because there is more testing, so less testing means less COVID. But why not cut the head off the snake and fire Fauci? You get rid of him, you cure COVID altogether. Arguably the greatest infectious disease expert in the entire world who's immediately accessible and willing to help deal with COVID, and this is what we get from President Man-Child. Absolutely insane. We knew this was coming. When they started doing press conferences, Trump was getting jealous of the Fauci fame. We knew this child would eventually want to fire him. Vote this asshole out. This was a dumb, immature move. It should have been done after the election if it was going to be done at all. If Dr. Fauci is fired pre-election, Trump will alienate a large group of Republicans that trust Fauci. Putting this in play now just shows that Trump is more concerned about getting even than he is about the health of the American populace. With reports that Trump is going to clean house after the election, everyone should be extremely concerned on how our government will work until the inauguration, when Biden becomes president, or after, if Trump is re-elected. I beg anyone who hasn't voted yet and is thinking or re-electing the current president to actually research what he has accomplished as president. Really dive into the numbers and look at how much our country has gone downhill. Sure. Fire the doctor. That'll win the election. Maybe there's a little bit of a problem with presidential power when you can sign an executive order to give you power that you wouldn't have otherwise. Edit, damn, I have never gotten over 50 upvotes lol. Does he know that Dr. Fauci's medical knowledge won't just disappear if he gets fired? Or that private citizens are allowed to speak out loud about things? I didn't think it was humanly possible to reach that level of insecurity. Trump is really going to fire our top infectious diseases expert in the middle of a fucking pandemic. Because why? He makes Trump look bad with his competence and poise. I hope Biden brings Fauci back on immediately, with twice the support staff and a hefty federal fund at his disposal. Maybe name a hospital after him too, just for good measure. If Trump loses, he's going to do so much damage between November and January. Just out of spite. And nobody will stop him. Vote the entire Republican Party enablers out in 2020, 2022, 2024, etc. That EO will 100% be challenged in court. This was his end goal in signing that executive order. There was no other way to fire Fauci, employed by the federal government since 1984. Fauci has been the thorn in his side ever since the pandemic began. Trump is going to slash and burn everything on his way out of the WH. One of the best virologists on the entire planet, mind you. We've all been expecting this for months. I'm surprised it took this long. Trump is jealous that Fauci is more respected than he is. Trump's executive order will create a new type of federal employee, who can be fired at will. If existing employees can be assigned to this job category, who have years and years of experience, beyond one presidential administration, there could be a widespread firing of knowledge in the government. So not only Fauci, but other protected employees too. It will be a disaster if he's fired, but I really do want to see an interview with an unemployed, and therefore unfiltered, Dr. Fauci. I hope he does. Fauci would be fine, he'll end up doing the same job for the next admin. Real question is, what if it's not Fauci he has his eyes set on? Donald Trump has signed an executive order enabling him to fire a class of federal employees. Who would fall in this category? Who involved with elections, justice, state, and military would prevent Trump doing something fucky? Good. If he fires Fauci, it will free him up to do more interviews that the administration has been preventing. People listen to him. #follow the Fauci. Trump might fire Fauci, but it's actually just going to be a vacation for him until January 20th. I'm starting to think the executive branch is bullshit LMAO. Oh, you can't do that, it's illegal. Well, I just made it legal. It seems a little weird to me that you can create an order to give yourself more power. They do not see COVID-19 cases as a public health crisis, they don't see the affected people as people. They see it as bad poll numbers, bad publicity. It's a political issue because the Trump administration made it so. The Democrats are screaming about a 3-carat wave, over 200,000 dead and a crushed economy because it's a disaster for the American people. The Trump administration can only see it in terms of how it reflects on them. They're so far up their own butts that they can't see the protests of the Democrats for what they largely are, a plea to help the American people. If they'd played ball and did things that made sense, the outrage that has come along with this indifference would be greatly reduced, along with the suffering of the American people. That's why they want to fire Dr. Fauci, because he is reporting real numbers, calling for reasonable actions and not downplaying the mess we are in for the benefit of Trump. They want people to play along with their disinformation and lie until no 3-carat no matter how many die before or after Election Day. Dr. Fauci cannot do this. He, unlike those idiots, is actually smart and has a code of ethics. In a Trump administration of liars and cheats, an honest man is dangerous to it. He cannot dismiss Dr. Fauci, so has executive orders that allows him to do so. This is a pathetic way of checks and balances, right? Trump will fire him as soon as results come in next Tuesday, as well as issue his first round of pardons to people like Manafort and Flynn. He's going to need some distractions to give the state media at Fox something to talk about besides his loss. This is Nazi shit. That's Nazi shit right there.